Hey everyone, it's Karen, and on today's episode, I brought my very first pick from St. Charles, which is author Z. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate
Mhm.
this.
Yes, happy to be here. It was so fun to meet you in St. Louis. That was fun.
Yeah, it was too. And sorry, I was
That's
looking at the
okay.
record. I was looking at the recording button to make sure it's actually recording because
Yeah,
I was like,
that's good. And you can
um,
hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly
Okay,
fine.
okay. I'm out on my porch. I usually like to be out here because it's lighter, and so I just want
Yeah.
to make sure that the everything sounds okay. All right.
That's fine. All right, let's actually start from here. That way
Okay.
we can just
Yeah.
get ourselves together again. Because I really did. I thought the recording wasn't starting because I hit record,
Hmm.
but it's like, no. So,
Yeah. Well, you can
um,
stop it and
yep.
start it again if that makes it
Yeah,
easier on your
I just
editing.
saw it
Oh, okay.
said pause the record. I was like, oh, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you for that, though. I really, really appreciate that because I didn't actually know what that pause button was. Hey everyone, it's Karen, and on today's episode, I brought my very first pick from St. Charles. If you all were following me, you know that I went to her table first, and I was like, "Hey, you are so amazing. Can I please have you on my podcast?" So, please, everybody, welcome author Z.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zee Irwin. Nice to be here. Nice to see you again, Karen.
Nice to see you again. It was so, like I said, amazing to meet you.
Yes, you
All right.
too.
As usual, I have plenty of questions for her. So, are you ready for these questions?
Yes, yes, let's
All
go
right.
for it.
All right, let's dive straight into these. So,
Okay.
the first question I have for you is, how do you find time to write?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I've been doing this for 5 years. I've actually been writing since 2015, but publishing and full-time, publishing since 2021, I guess it would be. And then full-time for like the last 3 years. So my writing is time and everything has changed. And one thing I'll say is that, I had children that were in middle and high school when I started, and now they're both, well, I guess, yeah, middle and high school. Now they're both graduated. One's in college, one's working, So my situation's different than some authors who might have, toddlers or smaller children. And I don't even know if, back in 2015 they were younger, so yeah, but I don't know how I could manage an author business with young children, but I know many, many women do. But my children are older, so that affords me a lot more time. But when I was working a full-time job and writing and authoring and publishing and everything, I would find pockets of time. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, between when the pasta's boiling for dinner and I quickly, write something on my
Yeah.
phone. I had a 2 hour commute at that point, 1 hour there and 1 hour back from my job. And so I'd spend a lot of time, dictating into my phone. Before work, getting up at 5 or 6, after work. I did sprints for a while on YouTube with a friend, and so we would, meet a few times a week at 4, and you find those pockets. That's all I can say. And it's, not sometimes life is very chaotic, and so you can't stick to a schedule, and you just find the pockets where you can, depending on your deadline and how much you have to do and what's going on. These days, as a full-time writer, my my goal every day is to get up and write. And that is, whatever time I get up, the first thing I'm going to do is write. I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm not going to look at my email and all
Yeah.
that. But does that happen every day? No. You know, there's so
Yeah.
much to do. There's so much to do as a self-published author and running my own business that every day is different. But that's my goal. I'd like to write every morning. But it tends to be, fitting it in wherever I can. There's probably 5 things I must do today, a promotion here or this or that, or posting
Right.
on socials, whatever. And a sale is going on. My newsletter's got to go out, et cetera.
Yeah.
I do try every day to get a chapter in. If I can write a chapter a day, I feel like I'm golden, like I've
Nice.
made progress. To me, some people it's words. They want to get to certain words a day, or some
Yeah.
people are, an hour
Yeah.
a day or 10 minutes a day or whatever you can do. But for me,
Yeah.
I've just found that if I can get a chapter or more, a chapter done a day, consistently, that kind of all adds up then, to a
Yeah.
full book at some point. But then there are those days where I just don't get to writing at all, I mean, I do have two kids at home still and their life and cats and the husband and, everything else. And sometimes I might have to hunker down and write like a few chapters worth a day, just to catch up and my
Yeah.
stupid deadlines and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of an ever-flowing flux thing. I admire those authors who are very disciplined, but in fact, my word for this year in January was the word discipline. It was like, I'm going to be disciplined and get up every day and write and not do a thing until it's done. Yeah,
Right.
discipline, difficult.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
life's
life,
everybody.
it
So
does. It
literally
does.
everybody at all
Hmm.
ages,
Yeah.
I'm learning has life.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
really
It
hard
isn't
to do
easy.
what you want to do
Hmm.
when life is there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that completely. All right. So the next question I have for you is what is the best time of day for you to write? Like
Yeah.
morning, afternoon, when you are in the zone of writing, what's the
Yeah.
best time for you?
I think anytime I have an idea that I'm gung ho and I want to get it onto paper, that's like the best time. And it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter when, as long as if an idea has struck me or a scene or dialogue or whatever, that's really the best time to get it down. Um, and so, mornings are great because I do feel like creatively I'm fresher, from a hopefully good night of sleep.
Yeah.
But sometimes I would say 50% of the time I'm writing at like, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night,
Goodness.
midnight writer,
Oh
but
yeah, those.
yeah, yeah. But I do try though. One of the things that does seem to help a lot is getting in the car and somehow like driving and thinking about my story like activates a certain part of my brain or something. I don't know, doing two things at once. I always turn on my recorder in the car
Yeah.
so I can
Yeah.
ramble. I can just spew everything that's in my head out onto the recording.
Mhm.
And then on the iPhone these days, it transcribes it for you automatically. So then I have to go clean it up after because it's a lot of ums and you knows and likes,
Yeah.
trying to clean up but it's gotten, you know, 500 to 1,000 words, like that, because
Yeah.
I don't know, just something about getting in the car. So if I'm stuck on a
Yeah.
book or in the middle of a book or trying to figure out a scene or whatever, or a chapter or,
Mhm.
a plot thing, then I'll usually find it while I'm driving.
Nice. Yeah, I like driving to it. For me, it helps clear my mind. I don't come up
Yeah,
with thoughts while I'm driving.
yeah.
I use it to just
Hmm.
be quiet.
Yeah,
That's what I use it for. So, because
yeah,
my world's too hectic and
yeah,
when I sit in the driver's seat, sometimes I have music, but most of the time it's just
yeah,
I need silence.
yeah,
So, and I have my windows down and I hear nature. So that's what
yeah.
makes me happy. All right. Next question I have for you is how do you know what to write?
Well, ideas have never been my problem. So, I don't know. I've just always had ideas. For the past 10 years, I've had characters in my head, and then I'll develop, a fictional town and start with one couple and then introduce side characters, excuse me. And I've never had an issue with coming up with ideas. Ideas were never the problem. And so it just comes to I don't know, as an only child, and so, I had fictional
Yeah.
characters and made up worlds in my head all these years. So
You're
So
the
it's just
one. I
always,
remember I talked to someone that was an only child as well. I was like, "Who's my only child person?"
yeah,
You, because I'm an only child as well, and
yeah,
I always
yeah,
get blamed with you're one, you're a girl. Two, you're an only child. So that's like they act like it's layers, like it's a bad thing. I'm a girl and an only child. Like,
yeah,
okay, sorry.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean, it's
But I
fine.
think,
I love being
we
an
lived,
only child.
yeah,
Yeah,
we lived
having
in our
friends up here.
heads,
For sure.
like I had friends and stuff, of course,
Oh
but I mean,
yeah.
like, it's just, you're living in your head,
Yep.
like you spend a lot of time playing with yourself, playing by yourself, I should say,
Pretty much. Pretty
right?
much. Pretty
And so you
much.
just, your stuffed animals, whatever. So yeah, I would
I
say,
did my
that
stuffed
has never been an issue.
animals.
Yeah, yeah,
I have my
yeah,
stuffed animals and I would just talk to them. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
Sound
mean, so
crazy
that's
now.
never been an issue.
Let me shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And once I then learned how to piece a story together, like how to
Right.
plot it, not that I'm a plotter, I am what I consider like discovery writer, a
Mhm.
pantser. But I do like to know where I'm going, what I'm doing with that character. I always like to know where they're going to end up. I always know most of what's going to happen. To them as they go along. Sometimes, I do get stuck or I realize, that was a good idea, but yeah, I'm realizing there's some kind of a plot hole here,
Right.
and I get kind of stuck in the middle. But once I work through it, it's all fine. But I think the biggest thing to transition from ideas to the actual story, you have to study like Save the Cat. It's a system, I don't know if it's considered a system, but it's like how to plot, you kind
Right.
of do need to study that. I rely on Romancing the Beats from Gwen Hayes to help organize my romance story, from start to finish. So I'm making sure I'm hitting, there's about 20 different beats to hit in a typical romance. And so I really try to hit those, and then pad it around it wherever it needs it. But yeah, once I learned that, then that kind of didn't turn me into a full plotter. I don't do full outlines, but it gave me a guide
Right.
to take my ideas to actual story.
I like that. All right. The next question I have for you is how long does it take you to write a book?
It really depends on the deadline. Well, so well, I've been doing this for 5 years and I actually just counted up my books and I've written 50. So, but that's between novellas and novels. So I would say roughly half of what I've written is probably novella size, which would be 30 to 40,000 words was my typical novella size. And then the rest have been, 50 to 65,000 word novels. So, but across 50, some people might say that's so many, but I mean I've been doing this for 5 years, but also
Right.
some of these stories came along before I started publishing. And I think I found myself over the years trying to publish too fast just because I had so many stories I wanted to tell. And
Right.
I've never been able to keep a secret. And so it's really difficult for me to write a book and let it sit there for too long.
I
Like
can't keep a
I'm
secret. I'm only
I
laughing because I can't keep a
know.
secret either. I'm like,
I
oh
know.
wow, me and you are
I
so
think
much
it's
alike.
well, I think it's just a creative, I think
Right.
a lot of creatives tend to have like some ADHD tendencies personally. I think that's just my unscientific theory. But, I
Unscientific theory. I love
yes,
it.
I've never been diagnosed, but I think I have tendencies. And so,
Me too.
but my creativity just wants to put it out there, and so I would never say that my books will win awards for my writing. I try to improve all the time if I can.
Right.
But I would say my stories, I really pride myself on being able to tell a good story and to give my readers characters that they can love and enjoy and fall for and want to see their happy ending.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's all that matters. I am not in this to become a Pulitzer Prize winner or anything. I want to give my readers, a good story to fall in love with for a few hours and, to
Mhm.
escape into for a weekend or whatever. And I hope that I achieve that. But yeah, that's I hope answers that question.
No, that does. I
Oh,
like it.
yeah, and also again, how long it takes me to write. Okay. Um, it really does depend on the deadline and if I'm behind. I have been able to write a whole novel in a weekend. And maybe I've had it kind of, chugging along for about a month, and I know the
Right.
characters, I know the ideas, I've got tons of scenes put together, but I haven't really like fashioned it into any shape or form. And, I really am missing like several beats, and my chapters need to be figured out and all that, but I can get it done. If I had to,
Yeah.
if I'm under a deadline, it's almost like a pressure cooker, and I work best at that. But after a couple of years of that, the past year or so, I realized,
Yeah.
this is actually not very healthy for me to be, under
Yeah.
pressure, under deadline. And then, the cortisol spikes and, all the things with your body that happens when you're like that and all that. So I
Yeah.
have been trying to tame that the past year, trying to sleep better, trying to, like I said, have these better habits where I'm writing a little more consistency so it's not such a crunch toward the deadline time. But having said that, deadlines usually are crunch time for me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a crazy business, and I'm sure there are other creatives out there who are a lot better at doing this, but I enjoy it. It's like on the one hand, I know I could be doing it better, but on the other hand, I enjoy it. So
Right.
everybody
It's
has their
whatever.
creative process. Yeah.
There you go. That's exactly what I was just getting ready to say. All right. So the next question I have for you is what is the most difficult part of writing a book?
Oh gosh, probably when you do get stuck in the middle, where you've thought about everything, and then
Right.
you are writing it and you're realizing, oh wait, what about this?
Right.
And then you have to kind of backtrack a little and fix that middle, and figure it out and stuff. But I think that's probably one layer of difficulty. The other layer of difficulty is just making your words sound really good. And I would say that I've never really, I do it, I put my books out there, but like I said, I could probably spend another month
Right.
finessing my line edits and my wording and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll go back as I'm if I'm putting together a box set and kind of re-reviewing, the 3 or 4 titles I'm putting in it, and I'll read it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wow, that sounds really good. Oh wow, this story, I'm captivated myself reading through the story, forgetting what I've written, and then I come to like a line, I'm like, ugh. Who wrote that?
Yeah.
I'm like, what
Yeah.
was I thinking? And it's just I think we're our own best critics, and so it's like, but
That's
as
true.
long as readers read and enjoy it.
That is true. All right. The next question I have for you is did you self-publish or go the traditional route and why?
Yeah, self-published. So I had always had my own businesses. I had a wedding business, a floral business, a wedding decorating event business, and
Wow.
several
You had
other
it
things.
all.
And so a few other things. And so I just like the self-publishing part of it personally. I don't know that I would ever get approached by traditional again, because I just have this thing that I'm like, yeah, I don't technically, I don't think I'm the greatest writer in the world. I think I have good stories and good
Yeah.
ideas and good plots, but I don't know that they'd probably be like, we like your work, but we're going to hire a really
Yeah.
good editor to help you out. But
Yeah.
I like the self-publishing part of it. I like being in charge of my own self and answering to myself and making the decisions. I like the graphics. I like promoting. I like marketing. Yeah, I actually have a master's in marketing, and I taught entrepreneurship. So this is kind of just
Nice.
the best of all those worlds wrapped into one, and then creative to boot, where I can make pretty covers, and I make almost all my own covers now, and except for the
Nice.
illustrated people, drawing the people, I'm not proficient at that. But other things I'll do, my own covers and stuff. And I really enjoy the whole process from start to finish of putting out a finished product. So
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'm the same way. I take photos, like for some of my books, I have taken photos in the past for the front of the covers or like the back or whatever. So I want to publish my books, self-publish sometime whenever I can get my
yeah.
life straightened out.
Yeah. I
Um,
just don't know. I've never, I had a really bad experience with cover designers in my
Mm.
first series, and
Yeah.
that just shied me away from, and I just started learning how to make my own covers from that point. I just don't know that I could ever give up that control to
Oh
a
yeah.
trad publisher. But if any trad wants to approach, great, I'll be happy to give it a try. But
Right.
I just like doing my own thing. But
Nice. Okay. I'm trying to figure out which questions we have that I want to ask because our time is running out a little bit.
no problem. No.
So how do you handle writer's block?
Well, again, just jumping in that car. That's always been my
Hmm.
help. Getting away from the desk, whether it's a walk outside or anything like that. And that usually clears my head. So I think, we get so used to working at a certain desk or,
Yeah,
a certain way. And I think the creative mind needs to be jumbled up a bit. And so it really helps to remove yourself from what you've been doing and try something else. And yeah,
I
it usually gets
completely
unblocked. Yeah.
completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Um, quick thing for me is so I work in an office building like pretty much my whole 24/7 it feels like.
Hmm.
Not really, but Monday through Friday I work in an office building.
Yeah.
And we get breaks, luckily. So we have a little garden that we just walk in and it's got flowers and stuff like that. So it's really nice. So yeah,
Hmm.
what helps me the most is being able to step away into like that little garden area because
Yeah.
that's like the
Hmm.
closest thing we have to nature to the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
And it does spark my creativity. Just like I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
saying, like she was saying,
Yeah.
step away. So
Yeah.
yeah, I stepped away and it
Yeah.
works, guys. I promise.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Coffee shops, the whole thing. Yeah.
yes. What important advice would you give a first-time author?
Oh gosh. Well, the advice that was given to me, because I had started writing, my first attempt at writing years ago was a historical romance, like a
Nice.
1880s cowboy kind of thing, Western,
Yeah.
gung ho, Westward ho kind of a thing. And but I realized quickly I didn't really like researching the history. So that was too much like work.
Yeah.
And so, but then I was like, okay, but I really have the urge to write now, but what do I write? And so, I started dabbling, started reading steamy romance and people like Whitney G and a few others. And I really liked their stories. And I was like, oh my gosh, so I started dabbling. And then I got real frustrated with whatever I was, coming up with. And so I took about the whole year of COVID quarantines. I pretty much
Hmm.
took that time and maybe a little bit the year before that and just read. And I think the biggest thing for me that I try to tell people is write what you love because I think it's hard. Like I know people chase the trends too, like right now, romantasy was big. And
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. I'm just not a romantasy reader, so I wouldn't want to attempt it as a writer personally. I like movies, so
Right.
I've watched those kind of things, but um I Game of Thrones, all of those, I love them, but I just don't
Hmm.
think I can write them and develop those worlds and that kind of thing. And I really, really, really love steamy small town romance, and that's what I write. I have heroes of all kinds, from billionaires to hockey players to cowboys and
Right.
ex-military and stuff. But the basic crust of what I love to write are those found families that develop across, four or five, six books in a series. And, you know, and yeah, I really, and in a small town. So I have 8 small towns that I've developed, across all my
Yes.
series and stuff. And that's what I love. So that's my advice, read read a lot so then you get to know what readers are expecting of you in a
Mhm.
romance or in whatever genre you're writing. So read a lot, and then that way you figure out what you love, and if you love it you should be able to write it. Now maybe some people can't. I know some authors who are like, well, writing going into romantasy even though they don't read it or whatever, but
Right.
I think it's easier if you love it to be able to write it. Now, having said that, my reading, it has gone down. Like it'll
Mm.
come and go in waves, mostly because I don't want to. It's like I feel like if I read too much, in my genre nowadays, like those ideas might, take hold in my brain. I
Yeah,
might somehow find them on the page as I'm
right.
writing. Not that there's any new ideas. There are ideas out there that, have been floating around for umpteen years in various forms. We all do it in our own way. But yeah, sometimes I'll be like, I'm going to wait and hold off on reading while I'm developing a book, just because then I'm free and clear. And so then when I'm done with a deadline, then I'll jump into reading another book. But yeah.
Nice. All right, well, we're gonna have to wrap up a little bit. I
Okay.
honestly, I feel like you've answered all my other questions anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
like, well, and I love that. I love that you just, I love so much information from you. Like you just kept talking, talking. I'm like, yes, feed me more, more. Because some people, no offense, but they just like answer it and then move on. I'm like, can
That's
we
funny.
spotlight you a little bit more, guys? Like. So, but
Yeah.
anyways, thank you again for
Yeah.
coming on
I hope it
and
was
answering my
helpful.
questions. Yeah.
No problem. I enjoyed it very much. I wish you best of luck with your writing as well. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I plan
yeah.
on getting it out, hopefully, like I said, within 5 years. I got some business planning I'm gonna do because I'm gonna try to
Hmm.
make this podcast an actual official business. I
Oh,
am
good.
talking with the bank here, I don't know, end of the month, next month.
Hmm.
So my little hobby can turn into a business so that
Oh,
whenever I
good.
graduate
Good.
next
Yeah.
year, I have this. So
Yeah. Yeah. Good,
yeah,
good. No,
but
I
thank
wish you
you
the
for that.
best of luck at that. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate it.
right.
Yeah, that way I can come talk to you again too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Keep
what do you have for me?
creating.
Yes,
Oh,
keep reading.
so I would just say that my series is The Office Fall Hard right now. That's what I'm writing. And you can start with Cozy Cabin for two. And the fifth book is coming out. It's called She Autumn Be Mine. I don't have it in hand right now, so I can't show it.
Yeah.
But it is a completely pumpkin patch fall cover. It is steamy romance. All of these books have cute names like Cozy Cabin for Two or Apple of My Eye and Spice is Nice and She Autumn Be Mine and Fall or Nothing. So they're really cute. And I have illustrated covers and it's all about these guys on a military or ex-military guys on a ranch in Montana.
Mhm.
And they're all, they can be read as standalones, but they're all connected too. And you'll see some of the couples throughout each book. So that's my latest series, and I hope everyone will read it.
Yes, please come read her books. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and thank you for being my first pick and accepting because I
Yay.
really would. This is my first round of like real people. Like, I don't know if that makes like physical people, I guess, because
Real, not AI.
right, right. Well, like most everybody I've already done podcasts with, I've met them on Instagram, so online.
Mm.
So you were actually
Oh,
my very
oh, in
first
person. Yeah. Yeah.
in-person pick, and I
Oh,
am
good.
so excited to have you. So thank you
Yes.
so much for
You're welcome,
this.
Karen. Yes, take care. It was great to
Yep,
talk
you
to
too.
you.
Yep, great to
Okay.
talk to you too. All right, have a good
Okay.
day, everyone. Bye. Okay.
All right. So then you can cut it